Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be joined by Stephen Roche from Saphyre, where he has managed strategic relationships with some of the largest financial institutions in the world to build a premier professional marketing arm of this upstart fintech firm we're going to hear all about. Stephen, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us, and myself, Seth. I appreciate it. Thanks for the introduction.
Our pleasure. So first of all, what is Saphyre?
If I were to describe to you Saphyre and you were a C-level executive in the elevator, I would say Saphyre helps financial institutions get ready to trade to launch new funds within 24 hours. And on the back of those trades, after they're executed, we can help them settle in near real time. We have 108 patents that remembers a data point entered and a document shared for the full life cycle of the fund. And we have the creme de la creme financial institutions using us, everything from the largest institutions, including our very first customer, BlackRock, our second customer being JP Morgan, our third customer being BNY Mellon, Legal & General, and so forth. You can go on our website, see the ton of press releases we've had with them. And we've been in business for about 8 years, and we have yet to lose one client.
That is absolutely incredible. Not only who you're working with, but the fact that you've kept everyone speaks volumes to what you're doing. I am sure the longer version of that could go in a book somewhere. Let's go back in time a little bit. This isn't your first rodeo. You've got multiple decades of experience. How did you get started?
Yeah, for me personally, just for everybody's edification, I have an identical twin brother that we found this business together with. So there's a story between the two of us. And for me, myself, I've been in technology, sales and marketing for close to 20 years. Most of that career has been with AT&T. And with AT&T, they dabble in all kinds of things outside of cell phones. So don't ask me questions about your cell phone. But outside of that, on the B2B space, I helped with large communication networks or MPLS networks, private lines globally. I also dabbled very heavily in the data center space. So AT&T had a great large presence of physical data centers that they had co-location opportunities for different verticals and institutions. A lot of that has been invested initially in the early 2000s and the early 2010s with financial institutions. So I worked with AT&T and some of the opportunities. I think it was the NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange built a data center in Mahwah, New Jersey. So there was an opportunity there. But a lot of finance was very focused on on-prem physical data centers, and they were a little bit afraid about going to the cloud. So we had this hybrid cloud version that came out that we were working with many of these financial institutions. And then a lot of the other verticals, retail, et cetera, it was too expensive for them. So they didn't go that way. But they started entertaining the Amazon Web Services and the Microsoft Azure platforms, and that started to eat our lunch. And I noticed it in my sales pitches and my opportunities and arrangements with many of these firms. AT&T at the time was too much into the hybrid space, but they seeded a lot of that business into the cloud space. And I was trying to get financial institutions to understand cloud a little bit more. Enter my twin brother, who had a background at McKinsey, building software products fast to the market. He then ended up working at JP Morgan in both their custody and capital markets arms, and he helped save an investment they had in a consortium, which was supposed to be a KYC standard for the industry, KYC being know your customer, that came out after a 2008 financial crisis. And he revamped it for JP Morgan, and he was also helping it in this consortium. And he saw how the data was not necessarily consistent. He thought the world worked like JP Morgan, but it didn't. It worked very different between firm and firm. And they also were doing on-prem services. And that's a big issue. Seth, if you sent me a file and one of my other camera guys over here sent me a file, but you added one row in that Excel file, how do I know which is the latest version? It's very difficult to figure that out. So cloud resolves that on there. And anyway, I told my brother you should save this consortium. Don't be afraid about taking the risk. I'll be your first investor if you come out with an idea that helps revolutionize the industry. He was successful on that endeavor. He started pitching the idea about Saphyre to the existing firms, but they were so sore about the money he lost in this consortium. It was better starting from scratch, enter the Saphyre endeavor that we started back 8 years ago.
Awesome. Like I said, longer version of that should probably be in a book somewhere. Okay. So how does one, have you gotten into places like those household name financial services companies that you didn't previously have relationships with?
Yeah, so the relationships I had through AT&T weren't how I got these current customers.
Okay.
It was initially the reputation of my identical twin that helped save that consortium that he started working and building that off of that reputation. He had gone to those same firms and said to them, if I build it from scratch, will you give it a shot? Will you try for free? And we had some soft yeses on that. They were big supporters of this. And it was really focused around what we call the account onboarding and maintenance. So before we existed, everything was done via email, faxes, and spreadsheet. Believe it or not, faxes, the 1980s thing, or post-it notes. Okay, and they were scrambled to try to get a fund set up, and it could take them anywhere from 3 months, 6 months to 18 months to start trading on a new fund. Imagine you're a big investment manager, you won the Walmart pension fund, and you can't start making money for them until 18 months later. It was a big pain. Now with our technology, they can start making money tomorrow. It was a dramatic difference. And every broker dealer or custodian that wanted to, let's say, service that business for these large institutions needed to be on a platform that could do that, which we were exclusively the only ones in the space that provided it. It was that go-to-market strategy that helped us get embedded in this space, and that the fact that the product works quite effectively. So we could stand behind it. Big firms like the ones I mentioned earlier are proud to use it, and they're providing the sustaining power that we need moving forward.
So help our viewers and our listeners understand a little bit, why before you did it take 18 months for, let's say, a new investment fund to start making money?
So they would get all the documentations. Let's say email for now. You get an email thread that comes in. You'll get maybe the investment management agreement. You'll get bank accounts numbers set up. You'll have to do anti-money laundering due diligence, and know your customer due diligence processes. There's legal negotiations between broker dealers and investment managers, restricted brokers from the Walmart pension fund that you set up. They don't want to use XYZ firm because of whatever reason. So these are all things that were handled manually. If you look at an email thread, and you do a search, you might not be looking at the latest version of the document. And if you're communicating to a counterparty and you're an investment manager talking to a broker dealer, that person you're speaking to may have gone on vacation, may have moved on, may have changed roles, and their inbox is now doesn't have that data. And so they're going to re-ask the information from their customers. And this is a thing that consistently happened. How do you know that the latest information is provided? I just gave you the analogy that if three people are sharing Excel files, which one's the right one, right? So if I'm on LinkedIn and I say I'm in London, reliably that I am in London, because there's only one version of Stephen Roche on LinkedIn, not three. Okay. And that's the problem when you're not in the cloud. That's to help you visualize those issues that occur. And so the traders want to start making money right away. They want to start showing performance in alpha, and we're providing an avenue for that. And the idea behind Saphyre really was, hey, this is the carrot to provide data consistency and data normalization between different financial institutions, because not every firm sees the same information the same way. They even have their own language, their own processes and steps. But I'll take a pause there and see if that helped clear up things a little bit.
It does very much. Who's an ideal client for you?
Today, we're just targeting the large investment managers, large broker dealers, or custodians. And we feel that once we have established ourselves in that space, in the top tier, it easily can snowball down to the mid-tier levels and the rest of B2B finance. It also is applicable into the B2C area of finance, especially with high net worth individuals, and addressing issues like PII, which stands for personal identifiable information, and the right to be forgotten on this information. You have to expunge the data out of the platform or whatever. Do you have the ability to do that? There's no technology that does that today. We do. We have established that. Obviously, I mentioned we have a bunch of patents that we do this with. So no, we know we can replicate it downstream. But when you start at the top in the B2B space, which is very heavy, you can set a standard that then snowballs down to the other streams in finance.
That makes a lot of sense. What are you finding, given you've had an immense amount of success in a relatively short period of time? What's your biggest challenge now?
The biggest challenge is, and we try to, our philosophy, I would just say this out loud first. Our philosophy is interoperability. We have a wonderful workflow screen you could use with a great user interface. You don't have to use it. The idea behind the platform is we're going to remember a data point entered in a document shared through the life cycle of the fund. As long as the data passes through our platform, we can guarantee data consistency. But you have a lot of these financial institutions that have invested in other third-party solutions or tools or created their own internal in-house tool or solution, and they don't necessarily talk to each other, okay? Or they may be captured by their current vendor. And so there's that pain of transitioning from what they're using to what we're doing. But what we tell them is keep what you have. Let's have some micro successes or macro successes by letting us API because we're interoperable. We just need that data to pass. Some people will see the screens that we created. We create the screens just so we can demonstrate how this can work. And so people understand what we're speaking to them to, especially helping them understand the journey that they're going through. But no, they can keep their technologies. We can integrate an API into anything. We have a plethora of partnerships that we've made announcements with. The London Stock Exchange is one of the biggest ones we mentioned, also with BlackRock's Aladdin technology arm. So the impediment is never on our side. We can do an API or any integration within 45 days. It's usually the other side that needs to get the resources together to make it happen. So that would be, I would say, the greatest challenge is to help people first understand that we're not a threat to what they're doing. We're a supplement and that we're providing data integrity between all parties communicating with each other. Because broker A may only see the world the way they see it inside their four walls, but an investment manager and custodian, the Walmart pension fund sees things vastly differently than that broker A, right? We're helping them visualize that those people still have to interact with your peers or competitors in some capacity, and they don't necessarily do things the same.
Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
It's what I love doing. So the most successful entrepreneurs don't see their jobs as work. It's their hobby. And I've always been enthralled with technology and innovation. And my brother and I are serial entrepreneurs. It's in our family genes as well. Our father, our grandfathers were also entrepreneurs. Previous iterations were Me Too products or services. And when my brother helped invent this solution, it was okay, there's no competition out there, is a tremendous value to the industry. And so we had to go all in on it. And that's what obsesses me about this is that we have something that's very beneficial to the industry. It's exciting to see the evolution of it. It's exciting to say what you're going to do and deliver and see it come to fruition. So really, that's what I would say. If you can't fool yourself and fake it and then try to work hard and not like what you do. Either you like what you do and you'll be great at it, or you're going to be miserable in your personal life and somewhat successful in your professional life.
That makes a lot of sense. So for our viewers or listeners who want to learn more, where is the best place for them to go to learn more about Saphyre and you?
Yeah, so you can go to our website, saphyre.com. That's spelled differently, SAPHYRE.com. Or you can follow us on social media, most notably LinkedIn. That's where we get our messaging out there most of the time. So I have my own LinkedIn page, the company page. We have a lot of press releases. They may die in the vines, but we make sure social media carries them. But those are probably the best places to catch us and catch up on news.
All right. We greatly appreciate your time. This has been Seth Greene with Stephen Roche from Saphyre. Stephen, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening. We will talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.